Hello everyone, Princess Connect Redive Global version has just had its soft launch a few days ago, and many questions have been asked about which unit should we raise, which team are good, and this video I'm here to help you with all those questions. Akari is a magic support. Her skills allows her to deal magic damage and reduce enemy magic defense. Her Union Burst is a weird one due to the fact that it provides both magic attack increase, but also a single hit HP recovery. Now this single hit is based on the damage dealt by ally, but it's often just going to be their normal attack, so it doesn't heal as much as you will think. But in the future, once we have better magic units, she can be very good as a secondary support for the team. Right now, however, I do not recommend raising her, due to the fact that magic team currently is not that strong. We don't have enough magic DPS in the game for them to be stronger than physical DPS. However, if you want to raise her for the future as preparation, you can do that completely fine. Now, Akino, she can be very good right now, being a 3-star and the fact that she can provide healing to a party as well. However, on the long term, I do not recommend raising her, mainly because of that first skill. She will laugh for about a second or two, and if she gets attacked, then she'll counter for a decent damage, but if she don't get attacked, she'll literally just stand there laughing. And her overall damage output is slightly on the lower side in the long term, so if you want to raise her, she's good for now, but once you find someone better, you should probably drop her. Ana is an interesting magic damage dealer. Her first skill is very high single target magic damage, and she spams it quite a lot. However, you do need to watch out for her, mainly because her Union Burst reduces her defense and magic defense to 0. Combine that with her second skill, which makes it so when she drops below 10% HP, she will suicide and deal damage to all enemies, which is higher than her Union Burst. In normal map clearing, you do not want to use that, mainly because any unit dying on your team means you cannot get 3-star. But in the cases of Arena, that burst can actually kill a lot of people when she suicides. So sometimes she can even trade 1 for 5. I do not recommend her for dungeon clearing, but for Arena, I do recommend raising her. Aoi is one of the weaker archers in the game. She has a lot of CCs in the skill kit, and her Union Burst deals a small AoE damage. However, there are better characters that can do her jobs, and they do it way better. Unless you really need her CC and you don't have any other character to provide paralysis, she could be good for Arena. But once you have those other characters that can do the same thing, you will be throwing her away very fast. So if you do raise her, just be mindful that she'll get replaced extremely fast later down the line. Chika is a pretty good healer. She can reduce the enemy's physical attack, give your allies physical attack increase, and then AoE heal your ally. She also has a summon tied to her Union Burst, which means after she heals your ally, she will have an extra summon to take a hit for your tank to make sure they don't lose their HP instantly after they get healed. She's definitely a better option compared to Yui, but she has the same problem as Yui, where if you don't have other allies to provide heal while her Union Burst is down, she won't be as good of a healer. But as a support, she's one of the top supports currently available. If you are looking for a support who can heal, she's an amazing option, and I definitely do recommend raising her. Though she's not as needed for Arena. So if you're looking for someone for Arena, don't raise her. Djeeta is a very good single target DPS right now. She has a skill that charges her own TP, and her Union Burst does a lot of damage. You will be able to see her use her Union Burst a lot in long fights, especially like bosses. In Arena, she can be very good as well, just to get multiple Union Bursts out fast. If you want to raise her, she's a very good choice. I definitely recommend raising her for both Arena and clearing maps. Eriko is a very good single target DPS. Her Union Burst, if she kills someone with it, she gains even more damage to kill someone even harder. Now, if you want to raise her, it's definitely recommended for both Arena and map clearing. But for bosses, she will be on the lower side currently, due to the fact that you don't have any enemy to kill for her to charge up her Union Burst damage. Hatsune is more of an arena unit. Her skills are kitted so that she does more damage if enemies are physical. This means that she's specifically designed to kill physical DPS. However, her damage is on the lower side when it comes to dungeons, so I do not recommend bringing her to map clearing, especially considering the fact that she's an AoE attacker, so the damage she deals will be more spread out. But when it comes to Arena, where there's a lot of physical DPS characters, she can kill quite a few of them very fast before they can even do anything back. Hiyori is a good DPS to have. She can provide a lot of single target damage, and her Union Bursts also have a second stage of AoE damage. If you have other good single target DPS and you don't need other DPS anymore, I do not recommend raising her if that's the case. But if you're still looking for a DPS, she can definitely be one of the options. She will not be able to provide as high of a damage compared to single target dedicated characters, but she's still a very good option, and her Union Burst charges extremely fast. Io, that one teacher of yours who's trying to seduce you and you may be very tempted by her. Now, her skill is the only one in the game who can charm an enemy. This causes the enemy to attack each other instead of you. This makes it so that she's very amazing for Arena, but not so good in dungeons, mainly because her damage output is very low. But when it comes to Arena, that charm can sometimes save you by making it so that the enemy, if they're about to use their Union Burst, they will not use that and just normal attack each other instead. That extra turn in Arena can sometimes be a lifesaver. Akari is one of the best single target DPS in the game. In terms of boss fights, all her skills are designed towards dealing a massive amount of damage to a single target. In Arena, she can also provide a lot of damage to quickly kill off the enemy tank. However, be careful when using her because she's extremely squishy and she stands in front of a lot of the tanks in the game. The most noticeworthy one is probably the fact that she stands before Pecorine, the tank that everyone should have. This means that if you don't have a tank that stands in front of her, I do not recommend using her because she will die extremely fast. She cannot tank by herself. But if you do happen to have a tank that stands in front of her, then use that tank with her and she will be the main DPS of your team. Kokkoro is your 11-year-old mother in this game who will take care of any attack buff that you need. She has 2 skills which will increase your attacks for your entire party, and her skill 1 deals extra damage. However, be careful with skill 1 due to the fact that it actually moves her into the frontmost position of your ally during the skill animation. Which means she can actually eat some hits that you will want your tank to eat instead. If she dies from those hits, it will not look so well for you. So if you want to use her, raise her to 2-star or higher as soon as you can. Her Union Burst also keeps herself alive by healing herself, but it will not heal the allies, so do remember that. Overall, I say if you need support, she's an amazing character to race. Kuka is a magic tank. She has a single skill to increase her physical defense, but is very low. All her other skills are increasing her magic defense or providing her a magic shield. Her stats is also catered toward magic defense, so if you ever need someone to take magic hits, she's definitely your pick. Just be careful with her due to the fact that she has a taunt skill, so if enemy has physical attacks as well, she may be eating those too. It's recommended to raise her just to take some magic attacks due to the fact that in the later maps, there's a lot of enemies with magic attacks. It's also recommended to raise her for arena due to the fact that many arena teams have one form of magic attack, and the fact that Kuka have taunt means that she can also help you eat some magic attacks that will go towards Miyako. Kurumi is a character solely for arena. Her skills are mainly for stunning enemies, which is not as strong in clearing maps. And her overall damage against mobs are pretty low. But when it comes to arena, those stuns can buy your team a lot of time so that you can turn the table around on the enemy. If you want to raise her, I only recommend raising her if you specifically need it for arena. I do not recommend raising her for clearing maps. Kyarl is a very good magic DPS character. The fact that she can provide both magic defense reduction, single target magic damage, and AoE magic damage means that she has everything covered. But the fact that right now, currently in the game, we do not have much magic damage DPS, so magic teams are weaker than physical team. On top of that, AoE attacks right now are not that strong, making Kyarl's position in the game right now very low priority. If you want to raise her, she's decent for map clearing, but long term you will be switching her out for other characters. If you do raise her, however, get her to 2-star fast, otherwise she's not gonna do too much DPS. For arena, I do not recommend using her because she don't provide any important things to arena. Mahiru is a single target DPS, but on the lower side. Her stats isn't as high compared to many other DPS, despite her skill kits all dealing some form of damage. Her Union Burst also provides an extra stun if you need it for any situation. But the fact that it's with the Union Burst means that she won't be able to stun the enemy as often compared to other characters with a stun on their skill. It's only recommended to raise her if you really don't have other options. But if you do have other options, I would say avoid raising her. Maho, if you have her, raise her. She's currently the only character in the game who has a single target heal on her skill and stands all the way in the back of your team. This means she can provide support from the back without getting hit a lot of times. Now her Union Boss may seem like she's supposed to be for magic teams because she boosts magic attacks for all allies, but remember, she also boosts their team's physical defense and charges your entire team's TP. This means she's not really dedicated to magic teams. That magic attack increase is more of just a bonus. You can completely use her in physical teams or any form of teams you want, and she will support like how she's supposed to be. Makoto is currently the best defense shredder character in the game. She has the biggest coverage on her defense reduction by having her Union Burst and her skill both giving defense reduction. This allows her to be one of the best units for fighting bosses, due to her able to keep the defense reduction on pretty much permanently on the boss. Though there will be still some times where she will not have the defense reduction, due to her Union Burst taking time to charge back up. But if you have other units to support her, then she will be a very strong character. It is definitely recommended to raise her if you have her. Just be careful when you are raising her, because she stands in the very front line of your team, which means she is very easy for her to take damage, and she's not really a tanky character. As long as you're careful with that, she will definitely increase your team's DPS. Mifuyu is more of a support than a DPS. Her kits allows her to keep herself alive as well as providing a lot of stuns to the enemy. This allows her to be extremely good for arena due to the fact that those stuns can actually slow the enemy down a lot. However, for clearing maps, her stun is not as useful due to the fact that many mobs can hit you extremely hard and her stun is not long enough to prevent that. Now, if you want to raise her for arena, I do recommend her a lot. But if you want to raise her for clearing maps, I would say look for some other DPS or supports. Mimi is a physical attacker. All her skills are catered towards her dealing more physical attack. However, she's not that strong of a DPS due to the fact that her stats is on the lower side compared to the other physical DPS characters. But if you want to put her in arena, she's extremely good due to the fact that her Union Burst hits harder on the second from most enemy. This means she can actually avoid the tank and hit the enemy's DPS on the back. Misaki is another AoE magic DPS. Her Union Buzz straight up deals AoE magic damage to all enemies. But the most interesting part about her is her first skill, which reduces enemies' action speed. Now, action speed means that they will do less attacks over time. This, in arena, is especially good since every single attack you do means faster Union Burst charge. If you want to raise her, it is only recommended to raise her for arena and to at least get her to 2-star. If you want to use her for maps, I would say there are better options and don't raise her for map clearing. Misogi is a very weird character. Every single one of her skills have a different targeting, and her passive increases her defense for some reason, despite her kit being more for a support or DPS. In the early game, she may look like she does decent damage, but the further down you go, the more you will see that half of the time you don't even know who she's attacking. If you want to raise her, yes, only if you have love for her. Otherwise, I do not recommend raising her for any situation. Mitsuki is a AoE support. Her skill allows her to put both curse and defense reduction down, and her Union Burst can keep her alive for even longer due to the fact that it has a self-healing tied to it. Her field that she puts down will target the middlemost enemy, which means that field usually can cover pretty much every single enemy on the field. If you need a secondary defense reduction ally, then she's definitely a good choice to pick. However, if you don't need that, she can be best used in arena, but not so much in maps. Miyako is probably the best physical tank in the game currently. Her first skill allows her to be invincible to any form of damage for a few seconds. And this skill scales off its level, so the higher level your Miyako is, the longer this skill's duration is. She also has self-heal through both her Union Burst and Skill 2. On top of that, she has one of the highest physical dodge rate in the game, which means if the enemy uses physical attacks, you will see them missing her a lot. This makes her probably one of the best 2-star to raise currently. Not only is it easy to raise her since her shards are purchasable in the shop, it's also extremely worthwhile to raise her due to the amount of tankiness she provides to your team. Monica has an attack speed buff at the beginning of the game, but she will not activate the same attack speed buff ever again. Now, if you want to raise her, she's very good for arena, especially just to get that extra attack out. But for dungeons, clearing maps, bosses, I do not recommend raising her since her overall damage output is very low. Ninoh is a character who may look strong right now due to the fact that she started 3-star. However, her overall damage output is on the lower side for DPS, making it so that in the long term, she'll fall off compared to many other DPS characters. In terms of usage, right now you can still use her for arena, but you'll soon probably switch her out. As for dungeons, you can use her, but I do not recommend raising her too far. Nozomi is currently the best tank in the game. She has high of all stats in terms of tanking. She starts with 3-star, she has healing, she has defense increase, she has taunt, she has basically everything you want from a tank. She can be a support tank, she can be the main tank. If you have her, I definitely would say raise her. She will make your early game life a lot easier. Pecorine is a tank that everyone should start off with in the game with. Now, she's a jack of all trades character. She has some DPS, she has some tank ability, she has self-healing, but she's not good at any of those. She cannot be your main DPS, she shouldn't be your main tank due to the fact that her stats compared to many other tanks are extremely low. So if you don't have any other tanks, then she's definitely good to raise. But if you do have other tanks, I would say just use them instead. Now she starts off with 1-star, so make sure to get her 2-star as fast as you can. Otherwise, she'll die off extremely fast and you might as well not have a tank at that point. Rei is extremely simple. She just deals DPS, and that's all she does. Every single one of her skills simply deals single target DPS. If you need a DPS character, she's definitely a good option. But if you need anything else in the game, look for literally anyone else. She cannot do anything except for helping you with DPS. Rima is the only animal in the game. She has a very interesting skill where at the beginning of the game, she will charge in and knock the frontmost enemy back and stunning them for a bit at the same time. If you want to raise her, she's best for arena and not for dungeons. But if you do not have other characters for tanking and you don't want to raise Pecorine, I guess she could be a decent tank due to the fact that she has a lot of physical defense increase. But do remember that she don't have any self-healing. So if you want her to survive, you better provide allies who can heal her. Rino is an AoE archer. All her skill kits are kitted towards just dealing damage and more damage. Her union burst is an AoE-wide physical damage attack. So if you want to use her, I recommend using her more for arena than clearing maps, due to the fact that map clearing currently is better off using single target DPS characters. The AoE characters don't have the damage to clear many monsters at once with AoE. Saren, your best battery in the game, period. Now, she's not able to provide much of other things, considering her damage output isn't that high. But if you need some of your allies to charge their union burst faster, go to Saren and just go into her chest. Have her charge up for you. She'll make sure you're well taken care of. Shinobu is one of the better physical defense reduction characters in the game. She can keep the defense reduction very often on enemies due to the fact that her skill and her union burst both provides defense reduction. Her first skill summons her father to take a hit, and this can be very useful if it was timed when the enemy is about to use their union burst. Shiori is a single target, very fast TP charging archer. Both of her skills charges a TP so that she can spam her union burst more than any other character. Her union burst also has a attack increase for herself, which means the more she spams her union burst, the more damage it will do. All her skill kits are kitted toward just doing single target damage, which means she's very good for clearing maps, and if you need any DPS in the backline, just go right to her. Shizuru is a great support tank right now. Her kit allows her to both heal and gain shield. On top of that, her union burst will put another shield down to absorb even more damage. So in terms of tank, she's basically a shield tank. Now, I do not recommend putting her in the frontmost position for tanking. On top of that, her position makes it so that she's behind a lot of tanks. So her role is more of a support tank, but she definitely do a very good job on that. Suzume on paper may seem good. She has an AoE heal, she has an AoE attack increase, and she has an AoE defense reduction. On paper, those things look extremely good for a support. But there's two problems with her. One, her stats are very low compared to many other characters. Two, her union burst has a chance of failing, cutting the defense reduction in half. This means that she's not consistent. I do not recommend raising her unless you really like gambling for those RNG. Suzuna is one of the best single target DPS in the game, simply due to the fact that her union burst always crits. This means no matter how much critical rate she has on herself, as long as she activates her union burst, you will always see the big number crits. This allows her to be extremely helpful when hitting bosses or just clearing some very hard mobs. In arena, she can pretty much guarantee to kill anyone that's not called Miyako with a single union burst. Tamaki is a very good DPS. She has a skill which steals enemies' TP and recover your own, which means she'll make sure she will do more union bursts than enemy, and enemy will do way less union bursts, than you. Now, if you want to raise her, I definitely recommend her for both fighting against bosses and for arena. She's especially good for hitting enemy magic DPS because all her attacks are specifically designed toward hitting the enemy with the highest magic attack. Hiyori is the only single target magic DPS character in the game. If you want to use her, she could serve very well for map clearing, but I do not recommend using her beyond that. Her skill reduces her own HP in order to increase her damage. So if you don't have a good healer who can keep her alive, she may die very fast despite her being in the backline. She also starts at 1 star, so if you want to use her, at least try to get her to 2 star. Yui. For starters, say sorry. Anyways, she's a mage who recently decided to job change to a healer and only remember to put points into her union burst for heal. Her skills are not healing whatsoever, so calling her a healer is a little bit weird, since if she do not have her union burst up, she will not provide any heal to your party. She does have a single defense increase skill, but the amount of defense it gives is extremely low, especially compared to other supporting characters. So when using her, it is recommended to use her with other characters who can also provide extra healing, so that when she don't have her union burst up, your party will still be healed and well off. Akari is one of the best defensive supporter in the game. She's a character who can provide both healing, TP regen, and a shield to the entire party. Now, if you're looking for a defense support and your team needs a little bit more help with survivability, then go right to her. Just remember that she starts at 1 star, so she might die pretty often if you don't raise her star. I do recommend getting her to at least 2 star before using her. Yuki is a very good arena character. He has a TP charge where he will specifically charge whoever has the highest current TP in your party. This means whoever's about to use their union burst, he will make sure to charge them up first, so that they will activate their union burst. Now, he's not so good in dungeons and map clearing, mainly because his ability to support your team isn't that high, especially the fact that his defense reduction is tied to his own union burst.